Hey everyone, and welcome to this live session where I will be talking about Katana, K2A, the Arnold integration for Katana, and I will give you some Q&A regarding Maya, maybe in general, and just general questions. So I will be waiting a bit for more people to tune in, and then we can get going. So let's see. Yeah, so I recently just installed Katana. It was pretty smooth, the installation, and to get Arnold working was also pretty smooth. I had a bit of issues setting it all up, like AOVs and to get a proper light working, like a Skydome light. But other than that, it's a pretty smooth ride. I have also support for OSL shaders now, which is very nice. So I can actually customize or create new shaders which I need to have, which are currently not shipping with Arnold, which is nice. And in the meantime, I was also working on light shaders, so I now have RenderMan support for my light shader scripts, and I added some more helper scripts as well, which are a bit more convenience tools for you guys. Let's just move this window here. Why do you use Katana? What are the advantages over Maya? I think the biggest advantage over that is that Katana is a specific lighting and look dev tool, and it does not have all the clutter which Maya brings along. So you don't have the animation side, you don't have the paint brushes, all these other things which Maya can do. We don't have in Katana. It's just really focused on lighting, and it's a production tool, if that's for sure. Bigger companies use that because they can customize it a lot, and they have the flexibility to implement it to their pipeline pretty easy. And it's an awesome tool to output lots of shots in a fair amount of time. So in the early days, or when Maya was the only tool which was used, um, they had to use lots of artists because it was not as convenient in Maya to work on different shots. But in Katana, because it's node based, you can very easily switch out shot cams, load in different Alembic caches, and you can have different shots in a single Katana scene, and it's super easy to maintain that as well. So 26 people joined the stream. I know it was a bit short notice, but I hope it's fine. So let's first talk a bit about light shaders, what that is. So I have updated version 7, and in version 7, I have added the first OSL shader, which was a collaboration with Julius Ile, who will be supporting me a bit more. Let's just go to the commit section where you can see what I actually did. So this was OSL rotation not working. That's the first integration. And for attribute control, I have now implemented audio undo chunks, which means you can easily undo your things and without doing it several times. It's just like one operation is undoing it. And then I've supported PRMan, so you can actually download and install light shaders now and install it for Maya, for Arnold and RenderMan, and it should work just fine. And you can actually, if you want to, you can contribute. You can download the repo and you can add your own tools and upload them again and send me a pull request. And then I will review the code. And if it's cool, I will implement this as well. So this is what I'm trying to do, is create like a database for more technical artists to create their own tools and make a nice package. So for instance, what else do we have? Lighting, source. So this would be the source code for attribute control, and you have access to all this code, and you can update it as well if you want to. So let's see what the questions. No, I will show you guys Katana, how I'm using this now, because I just downloaded it and I'm now at home on my personal computer, and I installed it, Arnold and Katana, and it's pretty nice, and you don't need to have a big pipeline to get it working. What a fresher should. I think the question is, what does a newbie need to know to enter LinkedIn? Look, well, you need to have a passion for good pictures. You want to create good renders, good CG pictures, I guess, and more importantly, you need to be passionate about what you do. And I can only speak for myself, but my main aim is always to get photorealistic renders, and I'm doing lots of R&D, lots of research to get good materials working, new setups. So my drive is actually to create good materials. And if this should be the main thing, I guess, which should drive you guys to create new, or to become a look dev lighting artist. A planet shader. Well, I'm not sure what a planet shader is. Okay, so how many people now? One more, 27. It might be that it's 9 p.m., but it's a Saturday for you Europeans. So anyways, I guess I will first start with the KtoA, like the Katana implementation. So this is currently, I'm working on light shaders, on shaders XYZ. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that. This is a platform where artists, mostly for look dev, can upload or publish their renders and get some feedback from the community, which is pretty cool. So I will just show you. So this is from Zeno. He's created this community, and he has monthly, almost bi-monthly, challenges where he's posting reference images and giving a sample scene, and artists need to work on that to try to achieve the best looking result. So that's a reference. So here's the lighting setup, and then people started creating their content. And this time the tricky thing is to create procedural bubbles, foam for beer, whatever. So it's very technical. You get lots of technical artists in here, and I just have started out. So I did not work on the bubbles just yet, as you can see. But I worked on the beer a bit and on the glass, so it's still pretty basic, but this is all done in Katana so far. Then all nodes are there, but the render is black. I think my startup script KtoA is working. Well, I won't be showing you how to install it now, because this is a bit too much, I think. But on Solid Angle's website, I have a pretty good install guide. So let me just quickly show you what's going on here. So if you have worked with Nuke, this is pretty straightforward. You have your nodes, you connect up your nodes, and at the bottom you render it out, which would be your right node. In this case, it's a render node for Arnold. So at the top, Alembic in is where you get your scene. I'm doing some copying because I did not like the structure which came from the Alembic file. I created a camera, some Arnold object settings like subdivisions, for glass, opaque, off. So these are the nodes I'm doing here. And here's my shading network. So if I go into this node, you can see all these shaders. I've got a utility shader, glass, foam, liquid shader. They're all being merged up, and then they go into the merge, and then they are connected with my scene. And in the which would be the outliner, the scene graph is kind of the outliner for Katana. And at the bottom you can see here all my shaders, then my lights, my cameras, my geo. I'm creating the materials in the material stack. On the right you can see additional shaders I used for reference spheres, and then they're being assigned to my geo. So this is an MA material assign material assign node, and then I'm connecting the shader to the object, and this is where the assignment happens. In here is my light setup. So gaffer is the light control, I would say. So in the gaffer, which comes from the film set gaffer, you create your lights and your light filters and all the fancy stuff in here. And then what next? Then I'm isolating, and then I'm setting render settings, and then from here, this point, I render. So these render settings are your Maya render settings as well, where you have your AA samples, your light samples, camera options on all this stuff, and that's basically the setup. It's pretty straightforward, honestly. So what is the question? What is your thought on AI standard? Honestly, this question, I've been asked this question so much. AL Surface is not supported for the new Arnold anymore because all the features from AL Surface are in the AI standard shader. So honestly, I'll say if you use Arnold 4, go for AL Surface. If you use Arnold 5, go for the AI standard. That's what I'm saying. For subdivision is the same expression for PRman and all. I mean, converting all polymesh subdivision. No, in PRman you need to assign sub-D mesh type to your objects. In Arnold, it's a bit different. It's, I think, easier. You have your AOS, your Arnold object settings. You connect them in your node tree like this. And then all the objects you want to subdivide, you add your statements. So let's say I will select these two guys here, and I am adding those statements, append scene graph selection. So these two objects will get these changes, and then in geometry, you have subdivision. You enable cat-clark, your subdivision numbers, and make sure smoothing is on, and this is how you subdivide in Arnold Katana. So it's pretty, I think it's easier. Instead of doing in PRman, you would do like AS attribute set, and you would connect up your paths, and the attribute type would be type, string, and then this would be sub-D mesh, right? So this would be the PRman subdivision settings because they use open subdiv, so this is a bit different, but it both does the same thing. Yeah. Honestly, it's I was working with Mike from Solid Angle, and it's there is like an installation script as well. Launch KtoA bat file like this, where you set your environment variables, and if you set this up, you get this working. So that should be pretty simple. So how do you set up text? What do you mean with how do you set up text? Texture. Okay, sorry. Okay, texture. So okay, let's go into the shading node. So if I go to so this is just a group merge. So in here, if I go into this node, I've got my shader. So if I want to create a new shader, let's just do a new backdrop quickly. Whoa. Come on. Okay, so to create shaders, and if you want to connect things up to shaders, you need to use an ASN, which is Arnold Shading Node. And in here you have all the access to all the Arnold shaders. So in this dropdown, you've got all your fancy stuff. And you use image for AI image. In this case, it's just called image. And then you connect up your texture, you browse for texture. Let's go to texture, color checker, checkerboard. And then you get your texture connected here. And this guy, let's create another ASN node. This will be a surface shader, or let's just use a flat shader. Just a simple color. And then the out color from, well, obviously you should have named, you can name them ASN image live or whatever. And this guy would be ASN flat live shader. And then you connect it up. You click on this guy, out color, click here. This is the color in. So this is now the connection. And for this to work, you need to create a network material. So it's being assigned to your scene. This out color connects to the network material. But before that, you need to create a port. So add terminal, and this will be a surface port so that this network material knows what the input stream is. And then you can connect these guys up. And the network material is then connected, and you could name this as flat live shader, whatever. And then if you merge this with my main scene, which I'm doing right here, I'm adding another port, and then I'm connecting these guys up. And then you can see it appeared right here. So this is my flat shader now. And if I go up and I want to assign this guy now, let's create another material assign, MA. So I'm doing it at the bottom because then I override my existing assignments. So in this guy, what I want to do now, I just want to assign it to all my geometry. So I use the top node, I drag it in my, wait, I first need to do custom here. So I get my custom slot, and then I drag geo into the custom slot and then do // which means everything below geo gets assigned. And then I assign the flat live shader to this guy, and now it's connected. And this is all you got to do. So let's see if it actually does work now. If I do hit render, what we will get now. Always feel free to ask questions. I'm reading them as we go. Greetings from Brazil. Thank you very much. Can we use this layer? Can we use in this layer shading? If you mean, can you use layered shaders? Yes, you can. I'm not sure if that's what you meant. So what's going on? Yeah, there we go. Now you see there's a texture assignment. I guess I isolated things. So now let's try again. Preview render. Thanks for giving me a knowledge about shining lighting. Yes, Zeno in the house. And you can see, so this is now how I assigned the texture to all the geo. And it's pretty simple. So if you would actually start a live session, like a live render session, that's what I meant. I would go in here, right click, live render. So now we should have a live session starting up here. Like an interactive render, right? There we go, it's interactive now. So what I can do now, if I create a new node graph in here, I would go to my shading tree, which is in here. And then I would go to my flat shader. And now I can actually do, let's do a color correct or a remap. So I create a new ASN node. And in here, I will create a, let's just do a color correct for now. And this is now whatever, like color correction. So the output from my image goes into my ASN node, into my input. Sorry about that. And the output goes into my flat shader, into color. So this is now my in-between connection. And now I could actually just change colors. Yeah, that's what I thought. I need to restart the live render for this to work. Would be nice if it would just work out of the box, but you need to restart this guy. And then we should hopefully get it working. Let's see. Yeah, so now you can see it's working. So now we have a interactive session. It's pretty fast. You can also do render regions, shift right clicking, dragging regions. You can do your gamma or whatever you want to do, exposure, and it's all pretty convenient. So this is how you would do remapping or grading. So what else? I always have the feeling that the live render in KtoA is horrible compared. I don't think so. This is pretty, I just showed you, it's pretty fast. It's very nice. So I don't have any issues with live rendering. can see it's pretty fast as well, like an M2A. Do you know if that is improved with new Katana? I heard that the API for Pyarman Katana is well, I'm using Pyarman at work with Katana, and well, we've got production scenes, so they are a bit heavy, and the IPR there is really sluggish, just because we have a lot of geo and shaders. So what I always do at work is I isolate objects to do live sessions. So I haven't tested Arnold or with big production scenes, so I don't know about that. But so far in my basic scenes, like in this guy, in my render here, I used live rendering interactive all the time, and it was very nice. So that's not a problem. No, they have released Katana for Windows a while back, so it's now Linux and Windows, so which is nice. So I'm using it on Windows currently. Okay, it's probably right also for texture bombing. I'm not sure. Could you explain what texture bombing is? Yeah. So a cool thing which I love about Katana is you have this interactive render filters, and I have created a few already. So you can pretty quickly drag and drop settings. Let's just open the live render. So this is now currently the live render, and what I did here, I can actually, if I clear all, you can see I have different. I can now render different bucket sizes. The bucket size increase. I can have different AA samples, right? Only with drag and drop, right? So I have my presets, and they are always on top of my node-based render settings. So, for instance, if I want to disable depth of field, I just drag it in here, no depth of field. If I don't want subsurface scattering, drag it in, it's off, which is a very convenient way of doing this. And to set this up, it's also pretty simple. You go into you create a node called interactive render filters, and you got it here. And in here, you have all the power to create your custom interactive filters. So I created bucket size, AGS, and in here, I'm overriding the bucket size to be, for instance, 16, or I disable subsurface scattering in lighting, and I'm just disabling a SSS sample, so it means no subsurface scattering. And then you can save it. You can make this a live group, and then it's always, you can import the live group, and it always is for all your scenes the same, which is very nice. So let's check the questions. Do you use child materials or something like this jitter node for variation on shaders? Yes, I use jitter color quite a lot if I have scattered geo, which needs a variation. So I'm using the scatter pretty often just to do variations. So we can actually try to set it up. I haven't tried it in Katana, but it should be all the same because Solid Angle made sure that all the procedurals are now the same for each DCC, which is very nice. So let's try color jitter guy and connect. Yeah, let's just connect this up in here. So this goes into the input, and this guy goes into the color. Did that do it correctly? Oh, sorry, this was wrong. This needs to be a bit different. This goes in here. This goes in here. And this goes in here. Okay. So in here we've got the jitter now. And let's start the session again. And we see what we get. Okay, just a second. Did it start? Yeah, so it did. So I've got depth of field on now because the interactive filter, I did not disable this. So now it's off again, which is nice. So let's see if I can change the object now. And I just changed. I'm not actually sure how it's connected. It's assigned. I'm not sure if I will get this to work now without prior testing. This should be on object, which is correct. Okay, now it does work. Okay, cool. So you should see something. Well, you can see a difference in hue shifts here, which is what I want. So this is based on object now. So I'm not sure if what values I need to, I'm not sure if it's updating properly. It does not seem it is. But it does work, as you can see. So what else? In heavy scenes, KtoA live render is destroying more. Yeah, that might be the case. That's why I'm mostly isolating it. Yeah, I think I need to do further testing on how this works in here. It should be the same as in Maya, but as you can see, it's not really working. Yeah, I never worked with 3D light, so I can't talk about that. Oh, it's Julius. Texture bombing, okay. Yeah, so which is the pretty cool thing about this now is if you set up your environment variables properly, Katana always looks for new shader procedurals. So my current workflow is I have my notepad thingy, and in here I've got cell noise, which is currently what I'm working on because Julius showed me a nice way to do OSL shading. So let me just show you. So for instance, if I go to my shading tree foam, where is it? Is it this guy? Yeah. So in here you can see my shader type is cell noise, which is the one I'm having right here. So the cool thing is you can create your own shaders now using OSL if you have set up your paths correctly. So let's say I want to add another value for frequency or something. I can do call it int frequency equals default 1, and then if I save this guy, now you can see it's not saved. If I save it now and I reload my shaders in here, I get now the frequency tab right here. And now if I connect these shaders up properly, then I can do quickly testing and create new shaders. So what I'm currently doing, what Julius did perfectly already, is creating a bubble OSL shader, which looks very convincing if I find it. I think it's on page 3. Let's see. Nope. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Maybe it's on page 2. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Here it is. So this is the procedural workflow which Julius did using OSL shaders, and I must say it looks really great. All this fine detail of bubbles, and then you get the bigger ones. Here's something weird happening, but it's still very cool. And if you check the reference, oh, he actually updated. What did he do? What did he do? He's sharing his whole. I gotta have a look at that. Cool. So the next question: do you prefer to do shaders? Well, I just started using Katana for look dev at home now, but it's honestly it's the same workflow. You connect up nodes and you render, and you do this in both, pretty much the same. So there's no difference, I would say. Are my fluids fast to render? No idea about fluids. Texture production. Well, there is a way to do it. You can use a triplanar shader, which there is, and I guess I haven't tried it yet, but I'm pretty sure there is like a camera projection node to. I know there's one in PR, man. I'm not sure if there is a default one. I don't think so. Julius would be the one to answer this. So I guess there needs to be a and PR-Man you can use manifolds to use camera projections as well. So I'm not sure if there is an ASN for projection. Oh, there is actually one. Okay. Yeah, so there you go. There's an Arnold node called camera projection where you can plug in your camera. Your projection color would be your texture. and that's the way I guess you would set it up. I haven't tested it, but it looks like this is how it should be working. Yeah, Julius found it. Cool. This would be actually it, what I wanted to show you guys for Katana. As I said, I just installed it. I'm also pretty new to the Arnold implementation. At work, I'm using this a while now, but still, this is a very basic setup. I don't have any look files yet, no look file bakes and all this fancy stuff which you would see in production scenes. So pretty simple. I will share my interactive stuff. So I guess on light shaders, I will open up a new tab or something. Oh, there is Katana already. So in here, I guess I will paste in my nodes for interactive filters. So this is also a nice way for you guys to contribute. I will upload my stuff here. You can download the repo, and I guess you can get access to the nodes as well. And then we can build up a nice toolbox for, I would say, for individuals who work from home to get some kind of production setup going. And Julius said he will help me, so I hope he will, especially on the OSL shader writing side. So guys, feel free to ask a few more questions if you have anything. Also keep in mind, I am active on Patreon, so I've got some reward tiers for, I don't know, it's mostly for, like, let's see, for my side so far. I guess I can somewhere see it. So I've got some reward tiers. So if you become a patron, you can get some like proper feedback on your work, or like we can have a one-on-one session where I give you feedback. So if you want to do that, I would be really honored if you would join me here. And I created a poll as well for new lighting techniques, a new poll for new tutorials, and the most requested one was lighting techniques. So this will be one of the next ones. I will also do a quick some mega scans once. So this is the plan, and I will also need to start new material series. I keep shooting new reference images when I walk in the city, so there's always new things coming up as well. Yeah. So what else is here? Did I do something new? Oh yeah, my app has now a documentation, which is new. So I'm pretty busy. I'm doing lots of things on the side. So this is now a Surface database app where you have actually some documentation. If you don't know really how to use it, you've got the database right here, and you've got tutorials how to use it with AI Standard and Pixel Surface at the bottom. So if you don't know, yeah, that's the only one you see, just the App Store, my friends. There was one more thing. Shaders. OSL. That's new. Yeah. So as I can see, there are no more questions popping up. Just need to check if the connection is still up and running. So if that's not the case, this will be over in 2 minutes. Oh, one thing which is pretty cool. There's a new thing. I'm not sure how new it is, but there's a similar website to Google which is called Ecosia. And the cool thing about this, if I Google something, apparently with each search result, I can plant a tree. So this is the number of searches you have performed with Ecosia. On average, you need around 45 searches to plant a tree. So I've got 12 now, and if I get 45, they will plant a tree for me. And if it's for real, I think it's a pretty nice idea. If it's not, it's still cool because I'm not using Google anymore. Anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. I will be working on new tutorials soon. I hope I will have something by Friday next, or maybe Thursday. And if not, bear with me. I'm a busy man, so keep in touch. And thank you guys again. And I will be working on the beer foam now. Hopefully Julius will help me as well a bit. Okay, thank you guys. See you in the next one. Bye.